All right, welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name is Grant, and today I have a special guest. I'm at WBC, by the way, a special guest.
My name is Kevin McPartland, and we're here to talk about The Great Hunger.
And Kevin has done many, many games. One of probably your most lauded is probably Conquest of Paradise.
Yeah, Conquest of Paradise has a tournament here at WBC. It's been running since 2007, 8, when the first game first come out. And we have a core of players who just come back every year, and new players are attracted. In fact, last year, brand new player won the whole tournament.
Nice.
Yes.
And that's a great 4X style game where you're exploring, building up your colonies and fighting it out, dealing with mosquitoes and other kind of cool things.
Oh yeah, and it's funny. It's when they first labeled it a 4X game, I thought, it is a 4X game. Because I designed it simply as a simulation of the Polynesian experience.
There you go.
And what they did is they explored, they exploited the resources they found. You know, they expanded, and and so fighting wasn't a big part of their culture, so it's not a big part of the game.
Got it.
So yeah.
Right. So, but other than that, you've done many other games: Banish the Snakes, Maori, the Warriors of the Long Cloud,
White
Cloud. A couple of other.
Amateurs to Arms. And a lot of these games I did with Jerry Shiles, my partner, and including Amateurs to Arms. That was a war game on the War of 1812, card-driven war game.
Got it.
Maori is a card-driven war game. We like card-driven war games.
Oh yeah. Well, they work. They just work. But today, like you said, we're getting a look at The Great Hunger. Tell us what The Great Hunger is about.
Well, The Great Hunger is about the Irish potato famine. And what happened early in the 1800s, well, before that, the potato was introduced to Europe, and in the early 1800s, it really kind of took off in Ireland. And it's an amazing crop. You can get more calories per acre with potatoes. And it actually makes a very balanced diet if you have some milk with it. So what happens, a lot of poor Irish farmers adopted the potato. They had a cow or two, and so they would drink milk and eat potatoes. And it's very simple to plant and grow. It's perfect for the Irish climate. And so what happened was the population in Ireland boomed during the early 1800s. And then the Blight arrives. And the Blight arrived right about when steamship passage across the Atlantic was common, and they figured out, you know what? Before that, the Blight and the potatoes that were brought from South America, where the Blight is endemic, it died on the way over. It took months. And with steamships, it didn't take so long. And
so it spread.
And it spread. It spread all over Europe.
Interesting.
A lot of places had problems. Ireland had the biggest problems. Because
and you rely on that for your main source of food.
Because the English were pushing the Irish into marginal lands. They were taking over areas for their estates. They were, they were in charge, and they didn't respect the Irish. And, they're English. Hey, and so they had theories. So when the potato blight hit hard, one level, they're Irish, so they don't care. Another level, they said, they had economic theories that says, well, if you give them free stuff, they will become dependent on that. So you can't send aid to Ireland. And so between the two of those things, what happened was a lot of historians call it a genocide. And not a fun topic for a game.
Sure. And this is not a game that you're laughing out loud as you are playing it, right? It's got a serious, somber tone to it.
Yeah, but it's very light game.
It is light, but it's got some gamey mechanics as well, which are interesting and keep it, I think, kind of simpler to play and understand.
It's a lot of things have been simplified. The way the game works is you each of the players, it's a competitive game. It's not cooperative like some of my other games. Is you represent a clan or an extended family of people that kind of spread across Ireland, and the cards that you play with, it's not card driven but card assisted. The cards you play have two events. The event on top you play in the first half of the game.
Before the Blight arrives.
Before the Blight arrives. And allows you to intensely occupy Ireland, add some industries like the cut glass industry in Waterford, the linen industry in Northern Ireland, Guinness beer around Dublin, because all these things were growing at this point, and growing, you get employed. Everything is wonderful.
Times are good.
Times are good. Your population is intensifying, and then the blight arrives, and the game completely changes. And so instead of using the top half of the card, use the bottom half of the card. And these are nasty things. And a lot of things, what the bottom half of the card is, you represent the English. Your estates are growing. You're taking advantage of the situation economically. I mean, who wouldn't? This land, there's only a few starving farmers. Let's expand my racehorse fields.
Sure.
You know, let's add some more cattle. And meanwhile, the Irish are flooding to America on the ship to America. I just made it America. They really, as you know, many of you know, they really went to Australia and many other places besides America, but lion's share were America. And there's also a mechanic where 1 in 6, which is somewhat lower than the actual percentage, 1 in 6 will die on the way. And that's just random.
You roll a die, and whichever spot comes up, that person doesn't make it. And then when the blight comes kind of in the last 13 cards of the deck.
Right, you don't know. It's shuffled into the bottom of the deck.
So it can be the 13th, or the 13th card, or it can be the very bottom card, the last card of the deck.
Right.
But then the game changes. How does the game change at that point?
So
other than using the bottom half of the events.
Well, at that point, the events are no longer doing things that allow you to intensely add people. Now you have cards that. One of my favorite cards is the lumper potato. And it's like, well, what the heck is a lumper potato? Well, that's a variety of potato that was really, really suited to the Irish climate and very prolific. You got a lot of potatoes with that variety of potato, right? But then when the blight arrived, it said, oh, this is all the same variety. And boom, it just spread like wildfire. And so therefore you have the same thing on the top of the card and the bottom of the card. Top of the card, it's good. The bottom of the card, it kills people off. And so what people do is they'll use that card and now you are the blight, and you're saying, okay, this card, this population block, it's gone. Diseases like typhus, and because people dysentery, even what is it that the pirates got on ships?
Scurvy.
Even scurvy, because they couldn't get enough food. People were dying. So there's cards for all those things. There's cards for some of the more really, some of the Englishmen were really,
some violence and
well, no, not violence. It's just thoughtless
pushing them off. And
like for instance, the Ebenezer Scrooge in the Christmas story. He says, "Oh, something has to take care of the excess population." Well, that's an actual quote from one of the English politicians at the time. So he's in the game.
There you go.
And so, and meanwhile, the English estates are spreading across the map and taking up space where you used to be able to farm. And so you, in the second half of the game, you represent the bad elements. And you inflict them on your opponents.
Well, and it's an interesting dichotomy because you're expanding and growing at the beginning, and then you're retracting and just trying to survive. So you can really feel that in the game. It's about trying to get your people to America or to get them into factories or estates as the hired help. Because you're going to live, right? So
survive.
Lots of unique elements I thought that made for a very interesting and quick playing game. We played a 4-player game in about an hour, a little over an hour. We didn't quite finish it because others had to leave.
But we were also teaching. So it would,
hour and a half.
I forget what it says on the box. I think it's,
got it.
I think it says 90 minutes or something.
And so this is going to be from Compass.
Yes, Compass Games. It's not quite on their pre-order list, so you can't pre-order it yet. But any day now. The artwork is done. This is Newt Grunitz. He did a great job.
It looks really good.
Oh, the map is based on a historic map from the era. He did a great job on the cards, squeezing in a very nice illustration on every single card. A lot of the stuff was in the public domain, so it was easy. A lot of woodcuts and things. Oh, and one more thing about gameplay is, just like you don't know when the blight arrives is going to happen, you also don't know when the blight's going to bait. And so again, there's a card. Again, we didn't finish this game. There's a card in here that says, there it is.
There it is.
The blight abates, and that's when the game ends. And then whoever has the most blocks on this piece of paper wins. And then there's several tiebreakers So you don't know what the tiebreaker would be. You roll the dice to see. It's either the most blocks still in Ireland, the most blocks in America, the most blocks on factories, the fewest dead people. So, so your player
got a
map,
graveyard.
You go from having a method of determining how you place, and then in the second half of the game you flip this over, and it's just a place to put your dead people. So.
Well, and I really like those elements, Kevin, because they kind of ground you in what the game is. When you flip that over and you see that, you're like,
picture of a cemetery.
Yeah, it's about people's lives. So the reality of this game is I think this is going to appeal to a lot of people because it's fast playing, unique, got a lot of historical elements and flavor, and there's a lot of fun mechanics as well. One of my favorite parts was the way the cards work. You can do everything from removing opponents' blocks or moving your blocks to areas that are not taken over yet. It's just unique, whereas traditionally it's adjacency. You can only move adjacent or take an area adjacent.
Right.
Lots of cards that break those rules.
Yeah, that's the basic rule, is you just go adjacent, but there's lots of cards that break it, and especially, you have to go into an empty county, but especially the first half, obviously by looking at this map, more and more people jam into the county.
Well, there are cards, like you said, that just allow you to break that rule too.
Right.
And that makes for an interesting experience because you've got to learn to play those cards, understand what others have, and try to work around it. But I had a blast playing it. I really appreciate the fact that you brought it up, and it looks great, played great. It was fun and interesting, and can't wait to see the final version.
All right. Yeah.
Any idea on time? I mean, I know it's not been added to the E500 or their pre-order system. It could be a year and a half. Yeah. Just never know.
You never know. Because of course there's the whole production play. Like I said, we're done with the artwork, but the whole production play. If you want to know, ask Compass Games.
Sure. Send them an email.
Send them an email.
Well, maybe this video, once you watch it, send them an email and maybe they'll
say, hey,
push it up. I'd be interested in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, it's kind of self-serving, but give it an email and say, hey, why isn't it on the pre-order list yet?
Yeah. Well, it's also interesting. I have Irish ancestry.
Yep.
You have Irish ancestry.
Yes.
I believe the other two gentlemen that played with us also. I think a lot of us do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it helped me to connect to the game.
Yep.
My mother's family came from Northern Ireland, and they moved to South Carolina, where they were tenant farmers and didn't have any money, and they worked their way up and got to where they were. But I respect and honor my ancestors. And this game helps you kind of experience what they, in some ways, what they had to go through. That's why I like historical games.
And that's one of the reasons why I was drawn to this topic. Is my grandfather, Michael McPartland, laddie. He was born in County Leitrim. And in fact, there's one card in the game, which is, I probably shouldn't have done this, but I did. There's a card that says, on the top half, the good half is the designer's family prospers, and you get to add an extra block to County Leitrim. And then the bottom half, it's a reaction card. It says the designer's family hangs on, and it allows you to stop someone from removing a block from County Leitrim.
So, that's cool.
Right.
But that's great. I mean, it's an unfair advantage to you.
But
only if you have the card. Only if you have the card.
Right. Only if you got the card.
So real quick, what other games do you have kind of in your design kitchen?
Oh, well, I've got, actually, interestingly enough, I've got another game on the same topic as Conquest of Paradise.
Okay.
I can't really talk about it yet.
Oh, and that's fine.
Because it was commissioned by a game publishing company.
Okay.
Well, Phalanx Games. I can
Got
tell
it.
you that.
Okay. They do good games,
don't they?
They do
great work.
Beautiful looking, great games.
I've kickstarted some of their stuff. Like the game that they're doing on the English, the Saxon.
Yes. Brett Walda.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
I'm really looking forward to that.
We played it, and it was amazing.
Oh, you have?
We did a preview video, and we loved it.
Yeah. See what Grant gets to do? Grant gets to play games that are not available to us commoners. Yeah. So, all right.
But it was great.
I'm looking forward to that.
But so that one, any others that you?
So not really. I've been focused on that. That one's almost wrapping up, and I don't have a lot of time to work on these, so they come out once every few years. And we have some ideas we're kicking around, and we. Jerry Shiles and I, but we're also part of a game group, we're having. In fact, we got some ideas. We were at the at the auction.
Oh, yeah,
And there's a couple of games out there that was going for really cheap, and we bought them for parts.
Oh, there you go.
You know, because we're
for prototypes and making games.
Yeah,
Nice.
so pushing the pieces around for a
Yeah,
design.
yeah, nice.
Yeah, so.
Well, the mind of a designer. There,
right. Yeah.
You know, he wasn't interested in the game, just
no,
the parts.
right. Well, for $3, it's like, hey, you know, we can use those parts.
Right.
And that map is about the right size.
Oh,
and
nice,
right, yeah.
nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a blast here. I've had a blast at WBC. This is my second day. I'm already kind of tired. I didn't sleep well last night.
Oh yeah.
Tonight will be better.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Well, I stayed up late. I played in the Can't Stop tournament that
Oh,
starts at 11 o'clock.
Oh, no.
And luckily, I lost the first game. So I didn't keep going.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys watching. I've been Grant for the Players Aid along with
Kevin McPartland.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
Yeah.